Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Sunday. I hope that everyone is having a very glorious and very restful Sunday because everybody knows my motto, we do not study on a Sunday, right? So I've had quite a few people, they are asking me, what did you do? How did you study? How long did you study for? So I thought that I would just go into just intimate details of how I did it. But this study plan may not work for everyone. It may not tie in with your schedule. It may not tie in with your caseload of clients that you may have. Some people may study only 2 days out of the week, like a weekend. I've heard people tell me that they're only able to study like Saturday or Sunday or something. My study plan is for 6 days out of the week, and then 1 day of rest. And then it was much longer towards the end when I sat for my test, but it's not extensive. So if you feel like this will work for you, it can. This is the study materials that I use. Now, everybody's financial situation is different. Everybody's financial situation will not look like someone else's will look, and you only can maybe like get one thing off the list or two things off the list that you see before me. But these are the study materials that I use. I use two books, the Eli Karam book, and then I also use Valini's book. I also paid for TDC, Laugh Your Way to Licensure, AATBS, Jerry Grossman. I bought Pocket Preps. I paid for test.coms, the MoMA metrics, I believe that's how you pronounce it, the AMFTRB practice exams where the real questions are from the exam. Now, I paid for both of those AMFTRB practice exams, but I took them probably 4 different times because I wanted to know the exact correct answers. That's how I'm able to go through all of the answers, because I got 100% on each and every one of those AMFTRB exams. FSI, but only that's the Family Solutions Institute, that's the test banks only. But yes, this is a list of the study materials that I used, that as well as PDF test banks, Stuvia, Etsy, God, there's this other, I didn't put it up there either, there's this other one, Exam Book Prep or something like that, that I also use. But again, like I said, a lot of people's financial situations are different, and you may be able to get one or two things from the list. But whatever it is that you use, make sure that you are using it, fulfilling. I forgot Quizlet. Quizlet is a major one that I use. Study.com, oh my goodness, I forgot to put those on the list. Quizlet.com, study.com has an MFT curriculum that you can go through. Quizlet has AATBS, Jerry Grossman, FSI, all of those test banks that you see here is on Quizlet. Just go in. And when you get to Quizlet, put AATBS, Jerry Grossman, test banks, practice question, and a plethora of things are going to populate for you. But this is the study materials that I use. How long did I study? Now, I've been telling everybody, I paid for my exam about 5 months in advance, and I had some procrastination, I will tell you that. I looked at the calendar. Well, I looked up and it was like pushing on October, November. So I was like, oh, Carrie, I guess it's time for you to start studying sooner or later, eventually. So I did. I studied for 2 months only. That's all I did. But I also, at the same time, I changed my lifestyle, because like I keep telling everyone, this exams become a part of your life until you pass it. So yes, I altered my music that I was listening to. I've always have been an avid fan of my elevation music. But when I was studying for this exam, I listened to it a whole lot more. Actually, it was the only thing that I listened to. I prayed more. I always pray, but I began to pray so much more when I was taking this exam, praying for understanding, clarity, acceptance of the material, acceptance of the models into my own psyche. I made the material applicable to my life. I had to find a way to apply it in a lot of ways of my relationships, my coworkers, my friends, my families. I had to find a way to apply it. 2 hours I would study daily, 6 to 8 p.m. I did that the first to 6 weeks when I started studying. And then I studied 4 hours on Friday through Sunday on the 7th and 8th weeks, because I had to have time for my mock exams and practice tests. Each focused week, because each week you're going to find a focus, and I have it broken down for you when I say focus week. I made flashcards. But then one of the main things that I did, I always rewarded myself. So at the end of the week, I felt like, Kira, you did a good job with studying this week. You understand this. And if I'm standing in here and I'm just, freely talking about the models or the DSM or something, I rewarded myself, bought myself something nice, treated myself to like a lunch or dinner or something, so that it reinforced it, and it made me want to study even more, because I knew that there was a reward coming once I met a goal of mine. Week 1, my focus was the history of MFT, and then general systems theory, and then IFS. I did those 3 models for the first week. Saturday, I reviewed it. I reviewed what I studied, and I made flashcards. On Sunday, I rested. But before I did any of those models, I quizzed myself first. I would study the material, and then I would quiz myself again. That's how I was checking my understanding. That's how I was making sure that these models, these theories, these terms, these phrases, these words make sense to me. Week 2, my focus was the strategic theories. That was strategic, MRI, Milan. Whole week of that, just to make sure I had clarity over it. And Saturday, I reviewed what I studied. I made flashcards for all 3 of the models. Sunday, I rested again, and it was a repeat. It was just a repeat of it. So on Saturdays, 2 hours that I would devote to Saturdays, I made the flashcards. And then again, when you're making the flashcards, what are you doing? You're still studying when you're making those flashcards. Week 3, I did all of the intergenerational models for that whole week. And again, it repeats. Saturday, reviewed, made flashcards. Sunday, I rested. Same thing, quiz myself first, studied the material, quiz myself again. You have a whole week of finding your focus instead of trying to be all over the place, trying to piece it all together. Take a week and find your focus. Week 4, I did structural, CBT, EFT. Now, I will tell you, some of these models I didn't really look at because I already knew them. And the ones that I knew that I was strong in, I didn't study them anymore. That gives you time to study the ones that you know that you are not strong in, right? So like CBT, I didn't weigh heavily on CBT. So it was kind of like a review for me, because I knew it was a low chance of it being on the exam. I didn't study it, right? Week 5, I did exponential, the human validation, and the feminist model. Now, once again, there are certain models that I didn't weigh heavily on because no one was telling me it was on the exam. So I didn't really study it, but I would take that week and I would still study it, wouldn't weigh heavy on it, wouldn't like be in there cracking my brain trying to like beat it into me for any of these models. I did that for none of these models. I would just read casually. That's all that I did. So when I got to the first 5 weeks, and then when I got to the 6th week, I didn't study those. I didn't take any time and study any of the solution focused, narrative, or collaborative, because I was already strong in those areas. I already understood it. So I did minor review for those that week, but I did weigh heavily on DSM, the crisis, and the laws for week 6. Now in week 6 for the DSM cards, I did those separate from those. SFBT, narrative, and collaborative, I didn't make flashcards for those because I didn't need to. I was very strong in them, so it gave me more time to focus on DSM, the crisis, and the ethics and laws portion of it. My DSM-5, I definitely made flashcards for those. When I made the flashcards for the DSM-5, I did not put a heck of a lot of word or information on those cards. You don't have to. You take the front of that flashcard, you put the name of that diagnosis, and on the other side, you are simply putting the core features, core symptoms, whatever you want to call it, the age, the duration, length, or whatever it is, and you are done with it. Please do not be like trying to put all that information on there, writing all that stuff on there. You don't need all of that. The core features, the age, if it's an age to it, length, or the duration of the symptoms and stuff and what they look like. But you are not weighing too much on putting a lot of information, because then that means that it's going to be overwhelming for you, right? So during week 6, I believe maybe on a Saturday after I made like the flashcards, did that the first hour. Then I went back to the rest of the models, did slight reviews, talked my way through them. Still, like, you're not forgetting it. You're just doing a review of it, and you're just taking it and you've built on it. That's what you've done. Don't think that you are forgetting the information, your brain is not wired that way. It doesn't work that way. So week 7 and week 8, I only did a mock exam, practice questions, studied rationales. During the week, 2.5 hours, I would do the mock exam and practice questions, because sometimes if I did a mock exam during the week, I would split the mock exam up, and then I would do the first, maybe I would do 50 this day, and then maybe 50 the next day, or something like that. On Fridays through Sunday, I would study 4 hours, because I'm sitting there doing the mock exams, I'm studying questions, and I'm studying rationales. I would quiz myself with the flashcards that I made. I did not go back to any of the books that I had understood and had clarity on the information of. I only used my flashcards. So in week 7 and 8, I was doing my mock exams, and I was also quizzing myself with the questions and stuff, but I was still going back and looking over the flashcards, quizzing myself with the flashcards, just getting prepared to take the actual thing. The night before I took my exam, I did a review of everything, just using the flashcards. That's all I used, was the flashcards that I created. You don't need to use anything else. Don't be trying to go back to the book, trying to, find it or whatever, because when you use the flashcards, what you write on your flashcards is what you've made sense of it. I believe Eli Karam, he has a chapter where he's talking about testing, and he has a paragraph or page where he discusses you making it make sense. You don't need to go back to the book. Make the models with the information that you write for the models, the information that you write for each of the domains, the key terms, the interventions, whatever the case may be. Make it make sense to you. When you read in that book for the first time or whatever, it's going to sound like mumbo jumbo for you. That's why you're giving yourself a week to go over the chapters. Your first day, when you're going over those first 2-3 theories that you're going to do within that 2 hours, you're just reading casually. You're just reading. You're not beating yourself up over it. You're giving yourself time. You have a whole week to go over these models, these theories, this DSM-5, whatever the case may be, whatever your focus is for that week, you're not rushing it. Just read casually. That's all that you're doing, is reading casually, right? You're not trying to cram it into your brain, because when you first open that book, those words are going to sound very foreign to you. Accept the knowledge that you're reading. Just be accepting and receiving of it on the first go round. You got 7 days in a week. Don't rush it. If you are unable to study during the week, and all you can do is a Saturday and a Sunday, or you're only able to study like 2 days out of the week, when you are only able to study those 2 days out of the week, make sure you are breaking up the time that you are studying, right? If you want to do 2 hours, 3 hours, do it in 2-hour blocks or 3-hour blocks. But you're going to study 2 hours, you're going to take a long break, maybe 3-4 hour break, and then go back to it. Please don't sit there and try to 5 and 6 hours and you're just going and you're going and you're going. Don't do that to yourself. Find a focus. You have to find a focus. It's a lot of information. It is a heck of a lot of information. Break it down. Find your focus. One of the things that I do wish that I would have done probably was not sign up for the exam until I knew I was ready to sit for it. Because when you sign up for the exam, when you have that date, the pressure is on. And I wish that I would have done it differently. Had I known what I know now, I think I would have done it differently. But if you are giving yourself 2 months to study, 3 months to study, 4 months to study, you have time. When you look at it, you have the time. Find a focus weekly and give yourself some grace. Do not be sitting there trying to cram every single day. Give yourself some grace. Reward yourself. It is okay. Accept the knowledge. accept the words that you are receiving, and then you're going to be able to be more open for it. You're going to be able to have that clarity and that understanding of it, so that your anxiety is decreased and your confidence level goes up. If anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave me a comment. Please leave me a message. I am here to answer any questions. I have no problem doing so. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.